I do want to pivot now to news out of the Trump Organization, which this week has been found guilty of criminal tax fraud. What can you tell us about that?
Sure. They were found of improperly compensating employees by providing fringe benefits that were not taxed, and they were fined $1 million. Not much money by Trump standards. We value his worth at over $3 billion. So it's a little bit of a slap on the wrist. It does look bad that the president's company was found guilty of this, but their ramifications aren't going to be that severe for the Trump Organization.
I do want you to talk about Alan Weisselberg. What can you tell us about him?
Sure. So he was the chief financial officer, longtime CFO of the Trump Org. Had actually started there before Donald was the head. He worked for Fred Trump, Donald's father. And most of the allegations revolved around him in terms of getting apartments and I believe it was tuition and cars that were used for him and his family. And that counted as part of his compensation. And he agreed to testify against the Trump Org. But you could tell he wasn't going to say too much that was damning, because after he reached his plea bargain, he celebrated at a party with Donald Trump. So usually if someone's about to, rat you out, you're not going to have them over to your house for cocktails.
Yeah, that makes sense. So did he say he was acting alone, or I guess at least not at the direction of Donald Trump?
That was largely the push, was that it was just, we did these things, or they shifted the blame around to other people. And the prosecutors did keep hammering home Donald Trump, Donald Trump, Donald Trump, although he was not a defendant in it. And apparently, the jury certainly, it took him a little bit over a day, I think, and the jury certainly bought it.
Will this impact Donald Trump directly?
No.
What about the kids? Don Jr., Ivanka, Eric, is anyone getting in trouble from the Trump family?
I don't think so. I mean, none of them are involved in criminal charges in this case. Reputational, your reputations have been staked. You already have your opinion on them. Business-wise, if you're going to do business with the Trumps, you know what you're getting involved with. There's no shortage of ink on the Trump org out there. So I really don't see this mattering all that much. It is a piece of, that said, it was important that these steps were taken, that we did have this legal procedure to document that what took place was wrong. Now, whether that leads to any actual ramifications for the person who committed those crimes, that's another story. But at least it has been documented, like, you can't do this, even though your company is owned by the former president of the United States. This is wrong, and we are going to find you.
And the Manhattan DA said that the verdict holds that these Trump companies holds them, quote, accountable for their long-running criminal scheme. So is there a specific person other than the Trump companies getting in trouble here, other than Weisselberg?
They've shifted the blame around to a few other people. Weisselberg got the brunt of it because I think he was the largest beneficiary of it. But the DA's statements overblown. It's a $1 million fine. It's not a big deal at all. It looks good for a press release for the Manhattan DA. It's a slap on the wrist for the Trump Organization. It might change how they operate a little bit internally. They'll probably be a little bit stricter on this stuff, but it's not a big deal.
Zach, you cover all of the investigations and cases against Trump. How does this stack up to the other 30 ones that he is involved in, either peripherally or fully?
Well, the big difference is it's been resolved. That most of these cases are tied up for years. They're civil matters versus criminal, which this one is. And this one got resolved rather quickly. I mean, some of these other things have been going on for years, like the whole fight over his releasing his taxes to Congress. I mean, that started years ago, and it just happened a couple of weeks ago that Congress finally got him. So this was certainly one of the faster moving court cases involving the Trumps.
And what's the one that has the most legs, do you think?
The DOJ investigation in terms of national security matters, that classified material at Mar-a-Lago. I think that's hands down the most serious. That affects the country. It's not a business matter. It's not a personal issue. It doesn't have to do with, there's not one specific victim. As offensive as his accusations against E. Jean Carroll are, they were directed just at her. Mm-hmm. I think this is a huge issue in terms of national security.
Got it. Zach Everson, thank you so much.
My pleasure.